tell you about how uninterested in arguing about Star Trek canon I am. Yeah, that pretty much explains it.
From Hockey in the Desert
You guys are so amazing.
to UFOs to grown men crying about Barbie and to bad pop culture and more. Live from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, it's Mecca's Weird Universe.
Welcome to my weird universe of weirdness. I am the Red Angel. I am Lord Cthulhu, Kali Destroyer, Shiva Bringer of Destruction. Any other names you would like to bestow upon me? And I don't know. What is canonical and what is really and what is not? Is tired argument? Yes. Oh, is it good or not? Yeah, that's the thing. Because you know what? You can write a new dimension, right? And I don't care if it's canonical or not. Because I think our argument was, okay, well, then so you're admitting that Star Trek is bad. That's what it went back to. I think that's what it boiled down to in the first place. Is now Star Trek am bad. We have to be brokenhearted over it. It's dumb and cringy and stupid and blah, 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 blah. And
when real conspiracies become far too outlandish, that's when parody conspiracies look even more like reality. It's time to strap on your headgear and search through the aluminum archives.
why do I like hockey? It is a source of pure energy, isn't it? Pure psychic energy. It's got the skates that are forged in, from the minerals and the elements of the earth in fire. They're pounded and heated and quenched in the water, and the steam rises out. And that's what they skate on. And then they're skating. They're literally walking on water. They're literally walking on water, you guys. The Grail, the Cup, the Holy Grail. That's why hockey is way more important than Star Trek to me anymore. Because then I can nerd out about that. The stats and the players and which goalie is going where and how cute he is and all the, important things in hockey, Because it gets you fired up, doesn't it? It gets you thirsty for more. And this doesn't.
In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, you are the very model of a modern Major General.
Hockey harpy time. Spock sings. Okay, so we gotta talk Star Trek. All seriousness aside, I suppose. We had singing Klingons in space. We're gonna talk about them. Singing Klingons in space. Why? Why are we doing singing Klingons in space? There you go. Because Star Trek made its first ever musical episode, but wasn't any good. Our writers discuss. Okay, so why is this one important? Because these are musical theater people?
Yeah.
Okay, so musical theater people. Let's hear what the musical theater people have to say about singing Klingons in space. Singing Klingons in space. Singing Klingons in space. No, never. Never. They've never sung about Klingons singing in space before. It's cringy and weird. Why did they do this? All right, do you want to pull this up and you want to read it here? Because when I read, I just can't see. And this is why, I got a picture of me and William Shatner. I look like I'm blind in all these pictures I'm noticing. Because I probably am. Because I feel and I see through my feelings. I've noticed. And that's where my gut and my instincts, and a lot of the time when I don't want to know or I can't know, I just stop listening before I can. That's the problem, is I stop listening, and sometimes people need to tell me shut up and listen. So tell me to shut up and listen.
Here it comes.
All right, here you go.
This article contains spoilers for Subspace Rhapsody.
Who was gonna spoil? They dip into a space LSD ribbon.
On Thursday, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Paramount Plus, debuted Subspace Rhapsody, which has been announced as the first musical episode in the franchise. Some will, of course, remember Spock strumming on a Vulcan lute, and Uhura singing in the original series or Data's rendition of Blue Skies at Will and Deanna's wedding in Star Trek Nemesis. Whether or not one views this as an insult or a delightful expansion of the series, it has become, if not quite rigueur, not unusual for a comedy or drama or even soap opera to get an inner rent on. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was perhaps the most ballyhooed show to take this step forward towards Broadway, but all sorts of series have danced into the footlights. Fringe, which is another Alex Kurtzman joint. Psych, Xena Warrior Princess, he did that. He's responsible for that one. Futurama, One Life to Live, Grey's Anatomy, Community. Well, Community actually did it as a way to mock Glee. They did. And at the end, they actually had the worst singer do the singing as a way of completely mocking and destroying the Glee thing. And, you know, there's that whole thing about Glees. We're going to regionals. What are regionals? Everybody talks about regionals. What are regionals? Anyway. Entertainment and artists reporter Ashley Lee, who knows a lot about musicals but little about Star Trek, and television critic Robert Lloyd, who knows quite a bit about Star Trek and less about musicals, at least any written after 1970, got together to discuss the episode. Ashley Lee. Because I love musical theater, I'm always intrigued when a TV show takes the risk to make a musical episode. The task of creating original songs for the screen is already tricky enough, especially in a way that invites along the show's weekly audience and still moves its stories forward. And then there's the task of asking the actors to perform them, whether or not they've never sung or danced on screen before. It's an episodic experiment that, over the years, only some shows have gotten right. Well, with auto-tune, you can have anybody sing now, though. I admittedly put on the musical episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds with low expectations, because outside of Little Shop of Horrors, putting sci-fi to a song hasn't historically been so harmonious. Rest in peace, Spider-Man, Turn Off the Dark. Even though I had no prior connection to any of these characters, I found Subspace Rhapsody to be a pleasant surprise. I loved how the songs written by Kay Hanley and Tom Polce of the 90s alt-rock band Letters to Cleo poked enough fun at the oddity.
Wait. Really?
Yes.
What? Are they watching me? Are they grabbing like off of my memes? They're grabbing me off my memes.
Apparently.
Grabbing me off my memes. I barely remember Letters to Cleo. I think I bought the CD and tossed it. There's much better bands to listen to back then.
Yes, there were.
Maybe you should pay attention to some of them sometime.
Well, listen, it's not unusual. It's not that unusual for a 90s alternative rock artist to go into like television. A guy by the name of Andy Sturmer, who used to be in the show used to be in the band Jellyfish. He actually writes quite a bit of stuff for things like Powerpuff Girls and stuff like that. I mean, so Puffy Amiyumi on Cartoon Network. Anyway, where was I? Something without insulting the TV tradition, and I found it hilarious that the episode directed by Dermot Downs and written by Dana Horgan and Bill Wolkoff deemed confessing highly personal emotional information a legitimate security threat. When you think about it, such can be definitely true in the real world. And it looks like if you pan up, it looks like they're all trying to take a doo-doo. No, back down, yeah. Back down. Well, there's a picture of them. There you go. Christina Chong, you're a lovely woman. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing at the show.
Oh, come on. How many bad sing faces do I make? I think I did one really bad on purpose. I'm like, I don't care.
Just look up Beyonce. I'm surprised that after all these years, this is the first ever Star Trek musical episode.
Of course you look awful.
Robert, as a longtime fan of the franchise, were you open to the idea? No, I was not, but that's not me. The wrong Robert. Robert Lloyd, in a sci-fi fandom, any unusual step is bound to raise some hackles. But as a TV critic, since before flat screens, I have seen at least a few of these special musical episodes mounted in otherwise non-musical series. Well, The Love Boat was one of them. I suspect the impetus came not from viewer demand, but from the producers or the writers who were always looking for something new to entertain the audience, and, not incidentally, themselves, and was seized upon happily by cast members, many of whom have had backgrounds or at least a love of musical theater. Even if only from their high school production of Guys and Dolls, which I mentioned because it was produced at my high school, not with me. History shows there's no sort of show more likely than another to take on this challenge. But of all the new Star Trek series, Strange New Worlds is perhaps one of the most amenable to it. Yeah, because it's all people like talking about their feelings. It's ridiculous to begin with. It's all memes. It's got a strong vein of humor and is highly episodic. It's subject to, in fact, embraces tonal shifts from week to week. This season has been particularly goofy. Perhaps 2 weeks prior to Subspace Rhapsody, they aired a crossover episode with the animated spin-off Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yeah. And then immediately after that, the Doctor killed the Klingons. Like, why wasn't he singing, I killed the Klingon, I killed the Klingon.
Kill the Klingon, kill the Klingon, kill the Klingon, kill the Klingon. In which, okay. I thought it was smart to give the musical element of the show a scientific rationale. If the usual Trek technobabble, with the Enterprise overwhelmed by feedback from a subspace fault, in which, on the inspiration of Carol Kane's Pelia, they sent a playlist in an attempt to communicate musically. And it's quite appropriate for a season full of romantic subplots, including Ethan Peck's Spock, who, you must know, is more about logic than feeling. Not this Spock. Not this Spock. This Spock is more about feeling than anything. Having a thing with Jess Bush's Nurse Chapel and Security Chief Noonien Singh's Christina Chong awkward reunion with a young James T. Buttknocker Kirk, Paul Wesley, who doesn't recall their relationship from an alternate timeline, that bit may have made no sense to you, Ash. Oh, he's talking to Ashley, the other person.
Oh, okay.
Appropriately, the story makes it clear that heightened emotion is what causes the characters to sing, which is, of course, the underlying rationale of musical theater.
She starts singing in the yes, it makes sense in A Star Is Born. You know, she's going, "A man that God away," but she's not, is she?
She's not.
She's singing about goddamn Buttknocker Kirk. She's not singing about like some goddamn great fucking love throughout time or anything.
I am Buttknocker Kirk. I have a responsibility to these people as Buttknocker Kirk. Yes, Buttknocker Kirk. All else aside, how did the music strike you? It was odd that although the music they fed into the vault was the Great American Songbook, the standards of the early to mid 20th century popular songs, often written for musicals, none of the songs in the episode were actually modeled on that tradition. Not much in the way of Jerome Kern or Rodgers and Hart. There, it all sounded post Andrew Lloyd Webber to me. Yeah, it's all Rent. It's all whatever, you know, Mamma Mia probably, you know. Actually, ha ha ha. You're right. While I did appreciate the use of Cole Porter's show tune "Anything Goes" as a very literal cue to the audience of the storytelling rules ahead, many of the tunes were more contemporary than Golden Age. The one that's most vintage in style was the sweet duet "Connect to Your Truth," when Una Chin-Riley, Rebecca Romijn, shared a key leadership advice with Lieutenant James Buttknocker Kirk. And we're just calling him Buttknocker Kirk because he is a Buttknocker. Regarding the romances, I immediately became deeply invested.
The thing is, the actors, they give you death glares if you. It's like, why are you taking it personally? I don't get it. It's like, I don't know. I guess I take it personally when people are mad at me, but who knows?
I immediately became deeply invested in these won't days by the end of the musical numbers. I particularly love the La Noonien Sing. Lon. Might as well be La Noonien Sing.
La Noonien Sing.
So, how would that feel about contemplating vulnerability? It was like an introspective, angsty version of Company's Being Alive. in a musical style of Wicked, and it is a promising preview of her music. John just released a debut EP. And the stark differences in the genre between Spock's brooding electropop ballad I'm the X and Nurse Chapel's Amy Winehouse-esque fellowship celebration I'm Ready definitely maximize the tension amid their miscommunication. Okay, so this goes on pretty lengthy here. I mean, so they
but none of the music kind of makes sense because Spock's song is so emo, moody. It's very. He's I'm the X, the only X.
So it's saying that they both enjoyed it. They both enjoy it, which I find. Listen, of course she's gonna like it because she likes musical theater, and he's gonna like it because he doesn't want to say negative.
Yeah, because because you can't say anything negative about Star Trek, or else they think that you're oh God, they're so sensitive to it. I don't get it. I don't get how. It's like they know it's not good. I think they know it's not good.
No.
They know it's not good, and they're producing crap, and they're like, yeah, but you don't have to point it out to everybody, right? And I get that, but at the same time, it's like, don't call people racist for saying it's crap. You're like, yeah, but we like it anyway. It's just all in the way people react. And it's this cult mentality that we're battling right now that's so scary and terrifying, right? That we really need rescuing from. They got them on both sides, and you see that.
Now, okay, at the end, the guy critic asks this lady, Ashley Lee, would this make you start watching the series? Mm-hmm. This is what she had to say. Robert, these subplots were so genuinely compelling, even when concisely moving forward in song, that I'll likely start this series from the beginning and continue on past this episode. Plus, I'm so intrigued by Lieutenant Kirk and Union Singh's romance in that alternate timeline. So
she doesn't know that it was just a dumb one and done episode from she had a Toronto shirt on the thing, so she can find Toronto. We like her. We like the people in it. We just don't, it's like we don't like the character he's playing. We don't, he's fine. We just don't know why they chose that actor to play Kirk they shouldn't have had Kirk in the first place, because that guy's a vampire actor from the Vampire Show, right?
Yeah. But this leads me to my suspicion is that all of this,
Twilight,
these reinvention of these sci-fi properties are all designed to get more women to watch them. And I'm not saying that derisively. I'm just saying that as a simple matter of fact.
Yeah.
That women like musicals, women
and gay men, and because it's more, like it's
and they like romance stories generally, as a generality, and that is what this is. This version of Star Trek is a young adult version is a YA novel.
Star Trek is for the women and the gays. See, now Star Trek is for the women and the gays.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why they were saying that to me. It's like, oh, this is exactly why they're so threatened by you, because you're exactly the demographic that they want. And I'm like, you know what? I like Star Trek, though, before you wanted, you want to do musical theater on something, then I will go watch musical theater or whatever, sci-fi. Do sci-fi musical theater, schlocky something. Don't splash Star Trek on it, because that's when I take it personally. That's the only one that really, really, because you know what? Star Wars is stupid and dumb now. And we get it, and it's dumb and cringy. Yeah. But I mean, at least it wasn't pretending to be this profound, source for human enlightenment, right? Which I think is what we've always been searching for. We're always looking for this profound source of human enlightenment in anything we're doing, or at least I was watching Star Trek for sure. And now we're getting this kind of schlocky Buffy stuff that I didn't watch to begin with, because I saw Xena when I was a teenager, and teenagers are stupid and dumb and cringy, and I don't know why we spend so much.
The producers have actually admitted that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is their jumping off point for this.
Yeah. So when you're starting to make something like for the Buffy crowd, I mean, like, well, I didn't watch Buffy to begin with, so I mean, I saw the movie because Paul Reubens was in it. That literally was the only reason I watched the movie, because Paul Reubens was in it. I loved Pee Wee Herman, loved Paul Reubens, didn't care what he did, never cared. And that's, so rip Paul Reubens. I don't care about Star Trek anymore. I've kind of gotten to, like, you know what? It was great while it lasted. I can go find music and whatever else I need. So thank you for watching this segment. I don't know if we'll edit it or not. It's 20 minutes. Probably won't. Don't go anywhere.